Thank y'all very much. I guess there's a little bit of sickness going around. I hear the governor didn't make it, and Tim Armstead sends his best regards and sent his right-hand man, Darrell Coles. Tim's under the weather, so I don't know what it is with these people. I'm gonna stay away from all of them. I hope everybody had a good cookie, and I hope you can stay awake through a little bit more chatting. But you know, it's interesting as we look at the war on our industry, the things that are being done to absolutely decimate us and take us out. The question comes, how do we fight back, obviously, and it has to be two-pronged. It has to be both in Washington, but yes, we can do a lot of things at the state level, and I think we did a lot to demonstrate that in this last legislative session. We worked very closely with Chris and Bill Coal Association to craft appropriate and proper legislation to be supportive. And let me tell you something, this isn't just, you know, this is where my heart is. I grew up in southern West Virginia. I grew up in and around the coal fields. I grew up selling coal trucks and truck parts all my life. Now I'm a car dealer. I'm a car dealer in southern West Virginia, eastern Kentucky. I feel the pain. I feel it indirectly. I feel the pain of all those families that are getting hit every day and sent home, and then the, you know, 8, 10, 12 jobs that get affected by every coal miner's job. So I can promise you, I'm going to work with every bit of ability that I have to make sure that our industry does see better days. Now, I think that, you know, certainly it goes without saying we're going to have to endure this next year and a half of this president. But boy, I tell you what, I sure hope as a nation we can figure out how to put somebody in the seat there that might think a little bit more like Germany and Japan. You know, we're taking the coal-fired power plants off at a rate that I can't believe, and they're putting them on at a rate I can't believe. They're going to look out for their citizens. They're going to look out for their industries. They're going to make sure that they have low-cost, affordable energy. They'll be competitive on a world market, and we'll be left in the dust if we're not careful. The things that we did do, there's a number of them. We passed reforms. We did things to take pressure off of the coal industry. Things that are long overdue, I believe, but nonetheless never too late. And one of them comes to mind is our deliberate intent bill, which gets people out of the double dipping and workers' comp and then suing the coal companies or whoever it is they work for. We repealed the cap and trade. My goodness, if Washington's not doing enough to beat us down, we didn't need to add to it ourselves. Coal Jobs and Safety Act, that's millions of dollars of savings to an industry, and I pray that it just puts us one iota closer to being competitive. Then we did the Senate Concurrent Resolution 63 to fight back the naysayers, the people that said that we had taken safety had taken a back seat. Never, ever, ever would any of us allow that to happen. Never would the safety of any coal miner be put in question because of something that we would do on purpose. But we did that SCR 63 and put the Board of Coal Mine Health and Safety to make sure that the safety regulations were written properly. You know, we have the 56 cent a ton severance, I think, depending on who you talk to. Looks like the one to retire the workers' comp debt will run out hopefully the end of this year, but hopefully if it's not, then pretty early into next year. That'll be huge. And we're looking at comprehensive tax overhauls going on up at the Capitol as we speak right this minute, and we will look for ways to shift. You know, this state's built on coal severance. This whole state built on coal severance, on the backs of coal, and it allowed us to be bad stewards of state government for way too many years. The money was there. It was just rolling in. We had piles of money, more than we could spend, more than we could throw away, more than we could abuse or misuse. And now all of a sudden the pressure's on. Not only is the severance going away, but all the income taxes and all the money that flowed because all the people that aren't working, that don't have jobs, that once upon a time did. As we look at that tax reform, we're looking at ways to reduce our dependence as a government on those severance taxes. We're still a natural resources state, and it's still going to be necessary, but we want to see any way that we can do, anything that we can do to help. House Bill 2004, legislative oversight of our Clean Power Plan. I'll tell you why that was important. I was having a conversation with some in the DEP, and I said, why don't you just send them a plan that just basically does nothing? Don't commit us. Don't put us further in the bucket we're already in. Send them something that's milquetoast. They said, no, we can't do that. I said, why? They said, well, if we don't send them a bunch, if we don't give them something real substantive, we're afraid that they'll write the rules. And I thought for a minute, I said, my goodness, we're negotiating with ourselves. We're afraid that we're not going to send enough, so we're going to send them a little extra in our plan so that they don't give us their plan. Well, they're going to give us their plan anyway. But I didn't think that was probably a pretty good idea. And I'm hoping that not only West Virginia, but our governor is chairman this year of the Southern States Energy Board, and Chris, Bill, a lot of us are involved and going to get more involved there. Ben, and I want to strongly encourage him to get to that next meeting and try and build a coalition of states. They can threaten us with the road money, but last I checked, we're not getting much of it. The potholes seem to be something that comes up every now and again in conversation. So, but if enough states push back on this thing, I think that there is strength in numbers, and I think we need to drive that. We were at the board meeting, Coal Association board meeting last week or two ago, and started talking about these coal-fired power plants that are coming offline. And I said, who's driving that? Who's pushing that? And why can't we just keep them idling? Why can't we just keep them in neutral but turning? And it did have a meeting with Charles Patton and a bunch of the higher ups in AEP, and they in my office this Sunday. What's today? Tuesday, yeah, Sunday. And you know what, the news, what I really wanted the governor to do was issue an executive order that says for homeland security, for grid security, for our ability as a state. We're closer to brownouts and blackouts than we know, with the polar vortex and the heat of the summer that we've been facing. It's been closer than we know, and yet we're taking off capacity left and right. It just, again, it defies description, but I was hoping that he'd do an executive order and just mandate that AEP kept them online, not producing, but turning. And in fact, and I wish I was here to offer great news, because I told him, I said that'd be a heck of a keynote at SSEB, was, we were going to push back at least to that point. We'd be superheroes if all of a sudden the brownouts came and we had the ability to add to the grid. A little bit of the problem lies in this. As talked to AP, these are rules and regulations that came down from Washington a number of years ago. So they've known that these plants are going to shutter it down, and what they basically did was they quit maintaining them. They just ran them. They gutted them out. They didn't put any money back in, and now it's not as simple as putting $500 million worth of scrubber in place. It is literally that those plants are in just dire shape. So I've not given up on that one because I still think, you know, it's easy to say all, but you know, I think I'd like to revisit that. So that conversation's going to continue on. Shelley's bill, the arena bill, I think sends a great message, and I think it's one we got to get behind. We immediately called a press conference up at the Capitol and went to work to show our support for that. And you know, every single possibility that we have to fight back, we need to do it. We have our AG's here, and he's going to be up here shortly, and he's been doing a great job in Washington working for us. We got to continue everything we can do in Washington. We need to continue it here as well. I guess I saw the WVU study that talked about the tonnage that we expect through, 2035, I think. I'm not ready to buy into that study. I'm not ready just to give up. You know, I don't know how they can decide what tonnage, what we're going to be mining in 2035. Hell, we can't tell the price of gas or coal tomorrow. You know, but you know, we're ready to sort of, you know, throw in the towel and say here's where we're at. But we just have to fight. We just got to fight every day. It's a resource that's phenomenal. It's incredibly important to everybody in this room. It's incredibly important to everybody in this state and everybody in this country. We got to get the message out there. We need to fight for our industry. Last little thing on the legislative front. One thing that I'm very, very proud of that we did. I've joked with my friends on the other side of the aisle, on the Democratic side of the aisle, my buddy Rupee, and you know, he says, "Oh, I'm a conservative Democrat," and I said, "Well, you know what, buddy, your conservatism's never really been tested. None of it, because leadership would never let you do it." I said, "We're going to test some conservatism," and you know what we did last session? We sure did test some people's conservatism. But I'll tell you, at the end of the day, we had some to broad bipartisan support on virtually every bill that we put through, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that because I don't believe that any one person or any one party has all the answers. I do genuinely believe that when you bring people together and you work together, you find a better solution. And so I'm proud to report that, you know, in the Senate side, obviously that's the one that I had the best view of, but I bet there were less than 10 party line votes the whole session long, and I'd say the vast majority of those were bogus floor amendments that were just, you know, theater and, you know, and nonsense trying to get jammed into a bill. So, you know, and maybe a few of those went down on party lines, but otherwise, I think we delivered as a legislature, and I think the work's just begun. We're looking forward to next session. Chris mentioned that I had something else on my mind, that maybe I'd be running for different office, but I can promise you this: through that next session, getting ready for that session, and in that session, I'm about that session. I will stay focused 100%, and you know, hats off to all the legislators up there, because I think we did a lot. I think we have a long way to go, but I think you can look for good things out of this next session. We will certainly continue to work hand in hand with our coal industry at every turn, every single thing it is that we can do. And that light at the end of the tunnel, that's a miner's hat, or it's a light bulb that was powered by coal, and it's going to stay that way. By damn, I'm here to say it's going to stay that way. Thank you all very much.